Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our QuickBooks webinar this afternoon. The idea of this webinar is to increase your efficiency, particularly on the mobile app. And we've got Jacob here from QuickBooks who's going to be presenting. He knows even more about QuickBooks than I do. You may have been zoomed out. We've done quite a few Zoom webinars, and this one's on Webinar Ninja, which is this is the first time I've used it. So if you have any feedback about the platform specifically, let us know. Whether you think it's better, worse, or just different to Zoom, that'd be appreciated as well. So got quite a bit to cover. I think most of the people are more or less here who are going to come now. So I'll hand over to Jacob to take us through the QuickBooks mobile app.
Brilliant. Thanks, Paul. Afternoon, everyone. As Paul mentioned, my name is Jacob. I work in the service delivery team at QuickBooks, so specifically working with small businesses, ensuring, in this case, you're becoming more efficient as a business. And what better way to start than with the mobile app? So what I'm going to do is just give you a little bit of a rundown on how the platform works. So on the right-hand side, you'll notice there's that little chat section. Feel free to let us know if you can't hear anything or can't see us. So that's a good place to put that. If you have any questions, if you were to scroll down slightly, you'll notice there are 3 tabs. It says questions, polls, and offers. Now, the offers isn't relevant, but the questions is an opportunity to put any questions you have as we go along. Again, you're also welcome to put them in the chat, and we'll try and answer them as we can. And there's also a poll section, just to keep things interactive. And since I can't see any of you, it's just nice to know that you're there. So there's a good opportunity to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover, this is the agenda for the session, as you would know. We're going to do a little bit of an introduction into the QuickBooks mobile app. We're going to sort of look at receipt capture, how to snap pictures of your receipts, and also the mileage tracking functionality that we have, the ability to be able to auto track your mileage that you're doing to be able to claim back as a business expense. So just a little bit of information about the app. Why the QuickBooks app? Well, we've developed it. It's brilliant. It's getting better every single day. It has an average rating of 4.7 out of 5 in the app stores. And the reason for that is it is helping our customers become more efficient. It is really user-friendly. It's quick and it's easy to use. It looks slick. But most importantly, what's the real issue we're trying to tackle here? And the issue is that small businesses are spending a third of their year approximately on admin, so creating invoices, raising estimates, expenses, and that's around 120 days in the calendar year. And we want to give you the opportunity to save time snapping pictures of receipts, being able to calculate your mileage easier. This is a really, really good step to doing that. Now, the app is not exactly the same as the product you use online. This is to make things a lot easier. The bookkeeping that you may be doing, you're going to find that's more useful in the product, but I can give you an idea of how that will work. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is, if you haven't already, do scroll down, do click on polls, and that first poll's sort of open. Have you ever used the QuickBooks mobile app before? And it's just helpful just to understand sort of the audience. If you have used it, then great. This is going to be a great opportunity to understand a little bit more about the app, things that you don't know. And if you haven't used it, then this will then look at a good opportunity to be able to see why what the hype's around. So let's see. Okay, we've got a good even mix of people that have and haven't used the apps. That's brilliant. That's really, really good to see. Excellent. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here. It means that Paul and I are probably going to disappear, but just hopefully you can all see this. If you can't see the app open here, please do let us know. Okay, so now there are 3 flavors of the mobile app. If you've got an Android, if you've got an iPhone, or if you've got an iPad. Now I'm using an iPhone here. They have all the same functionality, but there are slight visual differences. My favorite actually is the iPad because it has such a much bigger screen, and you're basically hitting a very, very similar sort of view as you can see in the software itself. And if you haven't already done so, you are able to download the app. You can go onto the Google Play or the Apple App Store and just type in QuickBooks Accounting. Now, we do have two apps. One is the self-employed app, which is a different product. So just make sure if you haven't downloaded it, just type in QuickBooks Accounting and it'll be the first one that pops up. And most importantly, it is free. It's free for anyone that has a QuickBooks license, and you just use your standard login information as if you would on the computer. Okay, I'm just having a little message coming through here, just saying that someone can't see the screen. Can you just let me know if you can see the screen? Just write on the chat on the right hand side. Just let me know if you can see my screen. Brilliant. Okay. David, if you want to sort of maybe log out, log back in again, maybe you should be able to see it as if you're using it on a computer or potentially the app. But you should be able to see it on there. You're going to get a recording of this after, just in case there are any technical difficulties as well. Thank you, everyone, for replying. So I'm just going to give you a quick walkthrough of the app. And again, don't worry if this is quite quick, but you'll be able to get a recording of this. And it'd be good to sort of look through it if you have used the app before or you haven't, just to get an idea of what it looks like. So there are two sides. You've got the dashboard at the top here, and you've also got activity. So those are the two sort of main tabs. Now, your dashboard will give you a snapshot into your business, and this is why it's so important to use the app. You're getting a really quick snapshot, getting an idea of where your business is at. Now, as you can see here, my profit and loss, my P&L, how much money I have been paid, how much money I'm owed. At the moment, I'm actually in a deficit, which isn't ideal. My expenses are pretty big. Now, what I'm able to do in the top right here, it says this month. I can click on that, and I can actually change the time period. So I can look at, for example, this year. Even more so, I'm in the red. So I might want to speak to my accountant about that. But that's going to give you a really good snapshot into where your business is at. You're able to click View Profit and Loss and get some good graphs on there just to have a look at as well. So underneath profit and loss, you've got invoices. Now, you can see the invoices you've been paid or unpaid. You're able to tap into this and drill into the invoices. So, for example, I can click here, click into it, and I can see now I've got some invoices that are overdue, particularly that first one, which is overdue by 72 days. But the one that's really troubling me is that second one. It's overdue by 18 days, but actually I can see here it hasn't been sent. And there is functionality in QuickBooks to use this as an invoicing on the go piece of software. We're able to track it. You can see there's a little timeline there, sent, viewed. So we can see if a client has viewed it or not. And I think that's pretty key. The amount of times people say, "Oh, you haven't been sent me the invoice," but well, actually we can see you've paid. We see you've viewed it. So I think that's obviously really important to have there. And I can see as well some of the invoices have been paid as well. And if I click into that, you can see that has tracked the whole way through. It's been sent, it's been viewed, it's been paid. And most importantly, that money is now deposited. And I'll try not to spend it all at once. Okay. Below invoices, you've got expenses. Again, very similar to the profit and loss. We're able to change the time period in there, so we can look at the last 30 days, for example. And again, we have the ability to really easily just click into it and drill down into those expenses. Now, what I'd recommend is to get in touch with Wren, get in touch with Paul. Just if you're not sure what you should be claiming back as a business expense, if you feel like you should be claiming back more or you're not sure what to claim back, then it's always best to go to your accountant directly on there. And finally, the last thing on the snapshot on the dashboard is your account balances, real-time information from all the bank accounts you have connected. Now, if you haven't already done so, a really great opportunity to connect a bank feed to QuickBooks. With the new legislation around open banking, it means you're going to have real-time, 24 hours, 7 days a week information coming through from your bank, and it's going to be able to give you that information, which is going to lead to that brilliant snapshot of how the business is doing. It's really, really easy to do on there. So I'm going to go back up to the top now. So that's sort of the dashboard. On the right-hand side, I've got activity there. Now, activity is going to show us all the recent activity in QuickBooks. And again, we're able to go through this and drill into any of it, which is great. Again, an invoice here, we can click on that. Again, I can go into the trail. I can see it's been sent, but it hasn't been viewed. So I might want to chase up Brian. But I think it's just really, really easy way just to see some of the recent things you've been doing, just to remind yourself as well. So at the top, we've got home, we've got dashboard activity. To go to home, we can click that little home button in the bottom left-hand corner. we've also got a plus button here, right at the bottom in the middle. When we click that, it's going to give us quick access to features that you're going to be using regularly in the app. And again, like let's say, for example, we were sending an invoice, we can go into that. We're able to choose a customer, create a customer, choose an invoice number, or create one. And we can send an invoice or an estimate really, really easy on the go. It's a really, really easy process. And if you want to know a little bit more about how easy it is to invoice on the go, then please do let us know. At the bottom in the polls, there is an option as well to let us know for future topics you'd like to, if you want to do another webinar, just on invoicing on the go and how easy that is. We'd be happy to do that for you. Okay. And again, you've got other such easy access that we're going to be going through. Some of the things, actually, we've got the snap receipt, the receipt capture, and we've also got the trip, the mileage tracking there as well. So that's nice and easy. And again, the final button I haven't shown you is in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, it's 3 lines. If you are quite creative, you may call that the burger button. So I've been told. If you give that a click, similar to the plus button, you're going to get a shortcut to some of those features that you're going to be using on a regular basis. And again, we've got some brilliant stuff in here. We're going to be going through sort of a mileage, and we're going to be going through receipt snap. But again, if you wanted to create an invoice, just click invoice there. You can see your invoices. Click the plus in the bottom right-hand corner. But it's really, really easy. We can go into our customers. We can drill into the customers, see their outstanding balances. So again, just a real quick snapshot in there. You'll notice it says shortcuts in the top left. You can click all and get an idea of all the functionality. Like, for example, if you want a bit more of a detailed profit and loss report on there, then you can see that as well. So that's basically a really quick, and I repeat, really quick sum up into the QuickBooks app. So, the question is sort of why? And again, the answer is it's going to make your business more efficient, much easier to do things on the go, really, really simple. And we're going to touch into some of the great functionality we have. It just makes things a lot easier. You're not waiting to the end of the day or the end of the week or even the end of the month. You can do it on the go, not just on the computer. And hopefully that looks nice and simple on there. Before I move on, please let me know if you have any questions or anything like that. But if you just scroll down, there's another poll. Have you ever used the receipt capture or the receipt snap before? Difficult to say quickly. You can scroll down, just let me know on there. I imagine it's going to be something very similar. We've got quite a lot of no's, so this is going to be a really good piece. Hopefully you'll find it quite interesting. Thank you all for letting me know. It just helps to understand sort of the audience, to understand where everyone's at. Oh, we've got a user. That's fantastic, brilliant. Well, hopefully this will be useful for you just to learn a few things that you haven't done before. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the receipt capture, also known as receipt snap. Now, QuickBooks receipt capture is going to basically allow you to take pictures of receipts using the mobile app. So what it will do is it will extract the data. You'll take a picture, it will extract the data. You'll be able to match it to a transaction, which you would have created from your bank feed. And you're going to be able to categorize it all within a couple of minutes. And again, it's just this piece about how easy it is to do. Okay, I know you all love stats, a bit of research for you. We know that 45% of small businesses are not maximizing their expense claims, and that maximizing point is the key word there. And 42% of them are also regularly losing receipts. If you're like me, I do part-time football coaching. I have receipts from petrol and equipment I buy. They go into my wallet. They go in my car. I lose them. My accountant asks me where they are. It's much easier just to be able to take a picture of a receipt. Really, really easy on there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the app. Okay, so again, we can go to the plus button here. It's an easy access on here. And we're going to go to Snap Receipt. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of a receipt using the app. So I've got my receipt here. Okay, you'll notice that a little green box, I'm going to do it again, a little green box appears just to make things really easy to see. I've actually uploaded that one. Okay, so again, you have the option to be able to capture another receipt if I want. I'll just show you again, really, really easy. A little green box appears, tells you to hold steady, it captures it, really, really simple like that, and I'm able to use that photo. Okay, so again, you could do this at the end, you could do this on the go, you could do this at the end of the day, end of the week, But again, you're just able to capture, let's say you had 5 receipts, just take a picture of each one, and it's really, really easy on there. Okay, now if we go into the receipt snap on here, okay, we can see at the top I've got some unreviewed receipts. I can see the 2 I've just taken that are processing. Now, it does take up to 15 minutes to process a receipt. I've seen in my experience a lot less time than that, but obviously what it's doing is it's taking that picture, it's extracting that information, and it's going to make it as easy as possible so you're not spending time entering in that information. And once I've reviewed some of those receipts, it will appear in the reviewed section. Nothing will impact your QuickBooks until you've actually reviewed it. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to show you really, really easy on there. I'm going to actually show you what it looks like in product as well. So let us, okay. Okay, hopefully you can all see my screen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I prefer it when it is not as easy to see. There we go. Right, okay, so if I want to look at where that receipt's gone, if I want to go inside the product, now all you'll recognize this is my QuickBooks Online. I'm able to go to banking, and you'll notice 3 things come up. You've got banking, you've got rules, and you've got receipts. And there's a nice little pink new button there. It's just to really point that out. There's a new bit of functionality. So we'll give that a click. And again, we'll notice here that there are 2 receipts that we've taken a picture of, and they are processing. Again, it just highlights it may take up to 15 minutes. But if any of you have seen Art Attack before, I used to when I was younger, here's one I made earlier. This is the same receipt in there. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to review that receipt. So I'm click review. Now, previously, QuickBooks would have been just for receipts, the receipt capture rather, and we're now able to do it for bills as well. Okay, now the difference with the bills on here, of course, is that you're able to create a supplier. Now I recognize the Sainsbury's in there. Apologies that the image on the left-hand side is taking a little while to load. That is down to my Wi-Fi, not down to the product. In this case, it is a receipt. So we're able to choose the bank account because we want to try and match it up to a transaction to create an expense. It is something I paid for my HSBC account. It's pulled the payment date on there, which is the 25th of February, and it's just taken that from the image. Now, QuickBooks has already put this into the category of entertaining. But what I would say is, again, if you're not sure about how to categorize your expenses, please do have a chat with Paul, anyone at Wren, just to understand really how you should be categorizing. In this case, I'm going to put it under entertaining because it was with a lunch I bought. Chicken goujon wrap apparently for a client. Description is Sainsbury's. It's got the amount in there inclusive of tax. Okay, and I'm able to put any notes in there just to remind myself, lunch with client. And it's really, really easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to just press save and next. Okay, and we're going to create an expense. So what we've done is we've taken a picture of the receipt. It has read that information. Okay, we've just clarified it, and we've accepted it as a receipt. We've reviewed it, and we're going to create an expense. I think there might be a small problem with my system on here, which could be why that is taking that time. So bear with me 1 second. Okay, didn't seem to like that. But what you'll notice here, and I apologize, this is definitely my system, is that the second picture we took of that Sainsbury's receipt, actually it recognizes it as a duplicate. Now, if you're like me, you're quite forgetful. It's quite useful to know that actually the system is recognizing that picture of that receipt has already been taken. So obviously, to be able to know that it is a duplicate is really useful. And what we can do is we can just we can delete that if we want on there. So that's really, really simple. Let me try and apologies. Let me just go back into my receipts. Yeah, I think unfortunately there's something a little bit wrong with my system, and it is unfortunate. I do have a lot of dummy data in here, but the point here is what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to create that expense. You'll be able to go to your bank feed which you've got connected. In this case, what I do have is if I went down to through my list of transactions, which unfortunately is very long because I haven't had a chance to do my bookkeeping in a while, I can see the Sainsbury's supermarkets here. what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to match that expense, match that receipt to that transaction, and I'll be able to create an expense off the back of that. Okay. And unfortunately, because it didn't work because my system's a little bit well, it's not really working properly, unfortunately, I can't show you fully. But again, hopefully that will just give you an idea. So just to remind you, you've taken a picture of a receipt, it's extract that information, you're just checking it through, so it's pulled the important information out. If you have a VAT, for example, if you have VAT turned on, it will ask you about the VAT on there, so you'll be able to claim that back. We've then, we've extracted that information, we're able to match it to a transaction we've got in QuickBooks, either through the bank feed or if you want via a CSV Excel file. And what we're able to do when it works on my side is you're able to match it. And it's really, really simple. And it just means that we're maximizing those expenses. We're able to go to expense and we'll be able to, see examples of how we've matched up the transactions to the receipt. So I apologize, it didn't completely work on my side. The app is not the only way to take a picture of a receipt. We do have two other options. You are able to basically drag and drop. So for example, if you are somebody who scans in their receipts, you can drag and drop multiple receipts at the same time. So if I went to, let's say I have a bill or a receipt, I'm able to drag that into QuickBooks. Now, you are able to drag and drop multiple receipts or bills at the same time, PDF format, JPEG, PNGs. Unfortunately, it won't work for multiple receipts on the same file. Again, apologies, I have got a problem with my system. And again, it's down to my Wi-Fi, so I apologize. Work from home isn't the easiest, but if you do have multiple receipts on the same file, so let's say you've scanned in 5 receipts into one page, then that won't work. What you're able to do though is if you just scan them all separately, then that will work nice and easily on there. Let me just see if I can. It's not happy with me today, unfortunately. The second thing you're able to do on this right-hand side, which it will appear if my system was working, is you're able to email forwarding. So what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to email to, I believe it's receipts@quickbooks.com, and it will recognize the email address associated with the QuickBooks license. So what you'll need to do is there'll be a list of senders. So for example, if you've got multiple email addresses associated with that QuickBooks license, you'll be able to forward it from that and send them across. Really, really easy. Again, whether it is the app, whether it's dragging and dropping, whether it's emailing, QuickBooks will take that information, it will read it, and it will process it through the system. And that's the best part of it, because what it means is ultimately is you're going to be able to spend less time having to input that information. And more time just being able to do what it is that you want to be doing in the product, which is great on there. Apologies, the demo didn't work quite as well as I wanted. What I will do, I mean, obviously you will get a recording of this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we send around as well some help articles just to show you what it actually looks like. But again, this is down to my Wi-Fi, not the product itself. A couple of questions I often get. Does it work for multi-currency? Unfortunately, at the moment, not. It's just in pound sterling. If you have multiple tax codes on a receipt, what you're able to do is you're able to select one of those tax codes when you're reviewing it, and then you're able to go into the receipt again once it's reviewed, click onto it, and you're able to add in another tax code. Again, if you're wanting to categorize under multiple accounts, you're able to select one of those accounts when you're reviewing it, like entertaining, for example, and then once it's reviewed, you're able to go into and actually select a percentage or other for it to go into multiple accounts on there. So should be nice and simple on there. Okay. Please do let me know if you have any questions. Again, apologies, it didn't quite work in the demo. Again, my Wi-Fi, unfortunately, at the moment isn't great. What I will do actually is I will stop sharing on there. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to try and reload my browser and see if that makes things a little bit easier. Should do. Let's get right to some of the questions. Okay. Yep. So Andy, thank you for your question. Yeah. So if the second app there, the self-employed app, is just a self-employed product. It is the QuickBooks accounting one on there. So, and again, you'll be able to use the same login details you use when you go into QuickBooks, and that should be nice and easy to see on there. Ian, your question: can Receipt Capture do the same as Receipt Bank? Use Receipt Bank at the moment. We'd like to know if it come out of Receipt Bank and use QuickBooks instead. So they are. So first of all, Receipt Bank rather is a great product. It's one of our closest partners. There is slight difference. Receipt Capture can only, of course, at this point do receipts and bills. I know there's more functionality with Receipt Bank, so it's worth having a play around with the Receipt Capture and just seeing where if it suits what you need on there. But we're hoping at some point it will match Receipt Bank. But at the moment, there's more functionality with Receipt Bank. But if you're looking just take a picture of a receipt or take a picture of a bill, then you'll find that the Receipt Capture is really, really good on that. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, Helen. You can drag and drop email receipts. I see what your question is. You have to save the email separately. So if you could save the email as, you're able to maybe take a snippet of it and save it it has to be either a PDF, a JPEG, or a PNG. That is the only way it will recognize on there. Okay. So let me just have a look. I've reloaded my system. So thank you all for your patience. Okay, bear with me 1 second. I think we've got some good news. Okay, I will show you just another page. Again, I apologize it didn't quite work, but let's show you what I've got. So, yeah. Hopefully, hopefully you can all see my screen now. Again, sorry, it's a bit zoomed in or zoomed out rather. Okay, so just been asked to sort of go through the upload with the email receipt. So again, you've got this set up receipt forwarding. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to send it to receipt@quickbooks.com. Now, if I go to manage senders in the top right-hand corner here, it will recognize all of the email addresses I have associated. So if I send an email from Jacob_Emmanuel@intuit.com to receipts@quickbooks.com, it will go straight into my QVO. And if we want, we're able to add new senders on there, and we can choose other email addresses we've got associated with that. Okay, let me show you again. Okay, so you'll be able to register your email to get started. Okay. Again, we've got the option here to manage sender emails, and we can add a sender. We can choose to have more users. If they're a recognized user on your QuickBooks Online, you will be able to choose them as a potential sender and send emails to the email address on there. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit on there, Emma. Here we go. So just to show you, I'll backtrack a little bit here. It's worth it. You can see now that QuickBooks has it's got my information. It's got the receipt in there. I've created an expense. So I've reviewed it. I've created that expense. I can go into my bank. I can go all the way down to the transaction. And again, hopefully your books won't be as messy as these ones. What you can see is it's found a match. So it's matched that transaction on there to the expense. We're able to match it. What we can do is we can go to our expenses. We can see the expense we've created, which is here at the bottom. We're able to view it, which is great. We can see it's in there. And we can see this expense, which is for Sainsbury's for £4.60. It's got an online bank match on the 25th of February on my debit card for £4.60 with Sainsbury's. So apologies it took so long. We've got also a copy of the receipt in there, which is really useful. Your bookkeeping is looking really, really good, and it's really, really simple like that. So apologies for the issues on there. Hopefully that's we've got there in the end. Again, you'll get a copy of this recording at the end, so that will be much easier to flick through and bypass me just saying sorry all the time. Right, so that's in a nutshell the receipt capture. Please do let me know if you do have any sort of questions on that. What I'm going to do now is just give you a quick run through again now with the third bit of our demonstration, which is of the mileage tracking. Okay, so mileage tracking, what it does is it allows you to automatically track your trip using your phone's GPS, bring that data into QuickBooks, claim your miles, and save money. And I think that last bit is really, really important. We do know that small businesses, particularly myself, when I do a lot of my driving for football coaching, I find it very painful and arduous to track mileage. And many people don't even know you can reduce your tax bill by doing this. And again, it's worth having a conversation with Paul or anyone at Wren just to have a chat about this. Um, we know that 3.4 million small businesses and sole traders need to track their mileage for self-assessment. We know that 1.9 million business owners need to track their mileage for business expenses. What the app will do is it will automatically detect when journeys have started and stopped while you're driving. And the trips will be booked in unreviewed. So what I'll show you is what it looks like in the app. Okay, so again, really, really simple. We're going to go to the the burger button there, and we're going to click mileage in the bottom left. Okay, right. So a few things I just want to sort of put in here. We can see here at the top, I've got my auto tracking on. So that is automatically tracking with my GPS all of the trips that I'm doing. So we can click into that, we can turn that on. But what I like about this is you're able to manage your vehicle. So I've seen a couple of vehicles I've got there. Now, as you know, this is important because you're able to put in a car or a bike, a car or van, as you know, that you can track, or rather you can claim back up to 45p a mile per 10,000 miles. And you're able to track in 24p a mile if you've got a motorbike, again, for the first 10,000 miles. So I've got my vehicle in there. You've got optional information such as the vehicle year, the ownership status, how much it costs. I think that's just really good just to keep track of on there. The odometer, this is quite detailed. We're able to manage our favorite locations. Now, if you're constantly going to and from certain places, I mean, I've home and work in there, which is quite boring, but let's say you're making a trip to a client and it's a client you go to a lot, you can easily add in a favorite location, choose the address and just save it in there. And then what the system will do is it will use machine learning to just work out if you've made that trip from home. And the final thing you can do on here is actually manage sort of rules. So again, this will allow you, and this is where the machine learning will save you time. It will start auto sorting your trip. So if you're doing the same sort of trip, and let's say it's a trip, I don't know, well, when this is all over, you're able to go to the gym. You know, if it's a personal trip, QuickBooks will realize that that trip you're doing almost every day at 8 o'clock in the morning or whenever you go to the gym, and it will auto track it as a personal expense. Now, I'll show you what that looks like on here. Okay, so we've got my unreviewed and my reviewed sections. These are all the trips I've reviewed. You'll notice I've got a business trip in there and I've got a personal trip. In the unreviewed section, I've got actually 2 trips here, which are really, really useful to have. Now, that bottom one, it's recognized, it's from my home, and it was a 9-minute journey I did, 4.31 miles, a potential deduction of £1.94, which I liked at 45p a mile. But in this case, it is actually a personal trip. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to swipe right for a personal trip, and I'm able to swipe left for a business trip. It's sort of, I'm told it's the Tinder of accountancy software on there. You can swipe right, so that's a personal trip. That's going to be done in my reviewed section now as a personal trip on there. You can see it come up just now. This trip here, this was actually a business trip. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to swipe that way and go to business. Now, it's going to ask me information like what was the trip for. So in this case, it was a visit to a client. And again, if you have any questions about what you should and shouldn't be claiming back as a business trip, please do have a chat with Paul and anyone from Wren. So save that, and it has gone. Now, what I like about this, you'll notice again, it is going to be in my reviewed section on there. It's come up, and I've got my potential deductions. If I go to my mileage, at the top here, I've got potential deductions. Now, I potentially deducted £5.88 for my liability, or rather my profit. And I think that's just a really good way of keeping track of things. Now, again, the mobile app makes it really, really easy to just enter this information. Again, if you've got your auto tracking on, you're able to get all those trips automatically tracked. You're able to track them as personal or business expenses. You can auto track as well. You can automatically set up rules and get them to auto categorize. You're able to manually put in trips. Really, really simple. So you can put, the start point, end point, the mileage, is it a business trip, etc. And again, it's just making things as really as simple as easy as possible, and most importantly, accuracy, which is great. But there's also a lot of things you can do in the product as well. So let me show you what that looks like in the product. So what I will do is I will stop sharing this. Okay, and what I'll share with you is, again, hopefully you can all see that, and hopefully it's going to work this time. So what we're able to do here is we're able to go to mileage. You'll see it on the left-hand side of my QuickBooks. Go to mileage. Okay, now the trips that we have reviewed, they're on there. So we can see our personal on there. We can see business and personal. Okay. This is really interesting. You're able to get really detailed information, like how much of the mileage you've done in your car is business usage. I think that's really good. So obviously, again, if you're claiming about business expenses, again, have a chat with the team at Wren, but how much of your car you're using for business, and potential deductions as well. If you're doing this a lot, you're able to get some really good information. You can see in May, I've saved £5.88 from 13.06 business miles. But again, if you're doing this a lot, you're getting some really good information, and you're able to then track that over the upcoming years. You can even go back as far as 2017. And then what you're doing is you're getting a really good snapshot of your cash flow. I just think, just to keep an idea of how much more mileage you're doing per year, etc. And it's just it's a really good bit of functionality on there. And there's a really good focus on sort of analysis, and you've got potential for, again, using it as a really good system. Now, at the moment, mileage tracking is only available for the master admin on the license. Now, this is in the pipeline to change the next couple of months. What I would say to you is, if you want to become master admin and you want to have access to the mileage tracker, do have a chat with Paul, do have a chat with anyone at Wren about that, and they can show you how to do that. But it's a really neat piece of functionality. It's just going to make things a lot easier when it comes to tracking your mileage. So hopefully that's given you a bit of information into there. We've obviously covered on here. Let me just quickly get rid of that. We've obviously covered a few things today, which hopefully are going to be quite useful for you. If we look at the agenda again, we've looked at an overview of the mobile app. Again, it was quite quick. Receipt capture, we showed how easy it was, albeit for a little bit of an error on my side because of my Wi-Fi, but we showed how easy it is to take a picture of a receipt, extract that information, review it, match it to a bank transaction, just create an expense really easily. Again, if you're doing this on the go, it's great. And then the mileage tracking, again, just how easy it is to just track your mileage, get that information into QuickBooks, and most importantly, save money, reduce your profitability, increase the amount of things you're able to claim back. And it's just, you're becoming, again, more efficient as a business, which I think is really important. I've got another question coming here. Yeah, so Emma, so you've tried to upload a Word document, email receipt, but it's come back saying it can't process this. Yeah, the receipts do have to be in PDF. From a technical point of view, what you're able to do is, if you go into that Word document, I believe go to File, Save As, and you're able to change the document from a doc to a PDF. So you can always...
yeah, there's another couple of questions in the questions.
You're able to change a Word document to a PDF,
the mileage button
it
not being
really
on
easily,
the
and then
app.
upload that.
Jacob?
Sure. Okay, yep. I don't have the mileage button on my app. How can I add it? That's an interesting question. It should be on there. Everyone should have access to it. If you're still having issues with that, what I'd recommend is just maybe log out of the app, log back in. If you're still having issues, let Paul know, and he'll get in touch with me, and I'll look into that
with a master
on the back end. But it should be on there. So maybe log out of the app, log back in, and just have a check on that one.
Yeah, so we'll have a look at that for you, and we'll see if
potentially
you're set up as master admin down there as well, because you might not be.
Yes, that could be actually, yeah, very true.
If that might be the reason why it's not on there. And then Helen was asking about
yeah,
navigation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, can you show the navigation mileage tracker on the app? Yeah, absolutely. That's not an issue at all. Apologies if I raced through that a little bit quickly. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do is, we go to home. So that's the home screen as you log in. If you just go to in the bottom right, you've got that little burger button. Sorry, I'll make it bigger. Cool. Go to the bottom right, you've got the burger button there. And in that bottom left, you'll have mileage. Now, as Paul said, and as I should have said, if you're not master admin, you may not have that functionality, but it's really easy to get it. I have one more question I've noticed in the chat as well on there. Can the app be used by employees purely for scanning their expense receipts? The answer is yes, absolutely. If you have them as a user on that QuickBooks license, you're able to get them to either take a picture of the receipt. You can, get them to scan them in with a drag and drop, or finally, you can obviously get the email forwarding, which works just as well on there.
Yeah,
great.
Also, depending on what package they're on with us, if they might already have Receipt Bank as part of that, and that manages it as well. So if they find it's not giving them enough functionality in the QuickBooks one, we can also have a Receipt Bank one for you.
Definitely. And I think it's worth, as someone asked previously, you have Receipt Bank, have a look at the receipt capture and see which one suits you. The most important part here is to become more efficient as a business and easy as possible. If you find that receipt capture works better for you than Receipt Bank, then use that. But again, have a chat with Paul and have a chat with the team on there.
We've looked at it for a few clients, and we found that for some of them, the QuickBooks receipt capture is more than adequate and is actually easier and simpler to use than Receipt Bank. But for other people, because of their requirements, Receipt Bank is better for them. So it's horses for courses, really.
Yeah, definitely. And what I find, and of course I'm slightly biased on this, but what I find is easier is you have it all on one app. So, you've got everything on one app. You're able to get a snapshot of the business. You're able to take a picture of a receipt, able to track mileage all on one app. I know there are other, apps that you're able to download, etc. But if you want it to be easy and just simple as possible, then you've got it all on one app, and that's really easy and good to use on there.
Yeah, I mean, it all being in one place is obviously a huge advantage. I've also had quite a few people who, when they first sort of tried to do online bookkeeping, were not great fans, but they things like the app gave them huge time savings. A couple of them used to be flying around all day and to different customers, different clients, and didn't have time to do anything in the day traditionally, and they'd sit at night doing all their bookkeeping. Whereas with the app, they're now able to issue invoices on the go, do their receipt capture and the mileage on the go. So they've got a lot less to do in the evenings when they get back to do their own bookkeeping, which is obviously a huge plus for everybody, really.
Well, it's that time, the work-life balance that everyone sort of wants to achieve. It just helps with that. I noticed I've got one more question. Sorry, Ian, I missed your question before. Can you add a new client details into the app on the go? I assume you mean sort of like a customer, for example. Yeah, it's really easy to do that. Again, go to the plus button, go to customers, and you can add one in there on that. And if you want to know a little bit more about sort of how to do that, invoicing and that kind of thing, then we can do a webinar on that. So please do let us know in the poll at the bottom.
Yeah, Emma's just asked as well in the chat for me whether we print off and keep hard copies of the receipts. It's always good to have a backup. I wouldn't say you necessarily need a hard copy. What we do in the office is for anything that comes in electronically or is scanned in, we send it straight into QuickBooks. So we've got it in QuickBooks, but we also have an electronic sort of filing system where we file things electronically, so we can see them on our document server as well. I don't think you really need to be printing them, but just make sure it is useful to have a backup somewhere else, just in case, for whatever reason, you can't access QuickBooks or you need a copy of it for another purpose. But generally speaking, you don't need to print things off anymore. We're getting to the stage now. It's been a great thing, really, with the whole lockdown situation, that some clients, because they're doing receipt capture or through the QuickBooks app or through Receipt Bank, they're saying my accounts are ready, and they don't need to deliver any extra paperwork to us because it's all within the software. So that's obviously a huge advantage, because it means we don't have to take delivery of records, which obviously we can still do in lockdown, but it's obviously a little bit more difficult. So I would recommend, if possible, not printing them off, because it's just wasting trees.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that environmental drive. Thank you all for being, the interactiveness, the questions, the chat, which is great. What I will say is, and it's really helpful for Paul and I, If you could just scroll down to the polls, there are a couple of questions there. Did you find the webinar useful? Please do be honest. Would you attend more webinars in the future? And there's some topics which we're able to run if there is interest. If you see any topics that aren't on that list and you want to let us know, please put them in the chat. But I really, really appreciate your time. And again, you will get a copy of this sent to you. And what I'll do is I'll send Paul some help articles, which he'll forward on as well to everyone that attended. And if you have any questions, you can always speak to Paul, speak to myself.
Yeah.
And
another thing before you all go, we have now got, we've been working with QuickBooks, and we've now got on our website, there's a link right on the top. So if you go to the Wren website, on the top right hand corner, there's a QuickBooks logo, because we're certified advanced providers of QuickBooks. And if you click on that logo, it takes you through to a resource center which QuickBooks have put together especially for us. And it's all co-branded, and there's lots of video tutorials on there. So it takes you through some of the basics, and there's some on-demand webinars there on lots of different topics. So if you need to know how to do something, and it's, you haven't got time to do it in the day, you can go onto the QuickBooks website, the web resource center there via our website, and get things there. It also does take you to the relevant links for the app as well at the bottom, as Jacob's just showing you. So it's a really useful resource. We'd encourage you to use it, because it's there. The reason we put it there is to help you, so that you've got some resources and you can find a bit more about QuickBooks. Okay.
Great. Yeah, so hopefully that's just given you a quick view into that, into how that looks. Really, really good, and just a really easy way just to use some additional resources in QuickBooks. You want to learn a few more things, that resource center that Wren have got set up with some tutorials and that kind of thing, really good. Do have a look at it as well. But yeah, if you do, with that, we're finished. Really, really appreciate the lovely comment. Again, please, if you do take the time just to fill in the polls at the bottom, it just helps us to understand sort of, did you find it useful? And if there are any other topics you'd like to run in the future. But I really, really appreciate your time. I wish you all a great week, and hopefully some nicer weather as we approach the weekend.
Yeah, thank you for attending, everybody. And like I say, if you need any help, give us a shout. I'm QuickBooks Certified Advanced, but the guys that use it on a regular basis are Dana and Jill. They use it virtually every day. And so if you need some detailed help, they're the people in the office that are most likely to be able to help you. So give us a call. It's probably best to drop them an email at the moment, because we are all working remotely. So if you need any help, get in touch. Thanks a lot.
Brilliant. I'll leave the webinar running just for another minute, just to give everyone a chance to answer the poll if you haven't had a chance already. But thank you very much. Absolutely, there will be a recording that will be sent out to you, and you can watch it as many times as you like. If you're not bored of my voice, yeah, you can probably put it on mute. But yeah, we'll give you a good, it will allow you to watch the recording of it. So yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. All right, just wait another 10 seconds, and we will shut down the webinar.